What is Ryan Day going to do with these vacant positions, including offensive line, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator? Let's talk about it. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year-round here. And if you like what you're watching, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's like a follow on TikTok, Twitter, X. Doesn't cost you any money. Just allows you to join the 130,000 people that subscribe and comment down below. Like, if you got a take, I'd love to hear it. Who do you think that Ryan Day should go get at defensive coordinator, offense coordinator, and offensive line coach? I'm down there in the comments. When I see the subscriber bug next to your name, makes me giddy, and probably get a much more detailed answer from me if that's what you're looking for. It's one way to get my attention. I find it interesting that Ryan Day is in this position, and we are talking about it not as the position of strength that it is, but that's what it is. It's a position of strength that he is working from because, as he said to Joel Klatt, nice thing is we're at Ohio State. You get to take your time. The mass exodus isn't a mass exodus, right? It's 6 coaches and 3 on-the-field coaches. When grad assistants get jobs, like Alan Clark did as the outside linebackers coach at Texas, you applaud it. You love it. When your offensive coordinator doesn't make a lateral move, but goes to the NFL where he's going to make $6 million, you applaud it. Jim Knowles going to Penn State, all right, sure. You're not necessarily applauding that because you're going directly across the street to a rival and claiming that you always wanted to coach at home after you just won a national championship. That one hits a little bit different. Justin Fry going to the NFL to coach the Cardinals. You applaud it. That's what happens here. There are different ways to look at this, and I think the way you talk about Riley Larkin or Mike Solon is not the way that you talk about Jim Knowles. I did find it interesting, though, that after Chip Kelly made the decision to join the Las Vegas Raiders to call plays for Pete Carroll, that Ryan Day made the decision to talk with Joel Klatt about what is going on at Ohio State, which means that you needed to get something out and you need to get some messaging going. And that's a great way to get started talking about what the future, immediate future, is going to hold. And there's a lot of things you take from that. One, I think, went under the radar for many is that spring football is going to look differently for Ohio State. It's going to look different for a lot of people, but specifically for them because they just got done with their season January 20th, where a lot of programs got done with their season November 30th. There's a whole world of difference there. As a matter of fact, it's about 2 months. You're also in a time where people are less inclined, by people I mean coaches, to want to play public spring football. That means public scrimmages. That means the spring game because it is becoming a competitive disadvantage. Matt Rule actually did a really good job of outlining this. If you have acquired great players, and you've done all this work with name, image, and likeness to get them signed, to get some real money behind them, do you really want to showcase that talent for free on television or just in the stands with a $5 ticket when you don't have to? And I'm thinking about guys like Rocco Spindler, who was on a Notre Dame team that reached the national championship and was a starter on that offensive line going to Nebraska. Do you really want to put that guy on display? We've always known that there were risks involved in playing football, specifically injury risk. It is undefeated. You also get to put that down. Ohio State's going to start a spring football basically the 2nd, 3rd week of March. But how hard they go or how little they go is going to be an open question. They've got a lot of young guys that they got to grow up in a hurry because that was a senior-laden team that won the national championship. One of the guys that you'd love to see get out there is Julian Sayin, for instance. Get some sort of chemistry going with Carnell Tate, with Jeremiah Smith, with Brandon Ennis, with James Peoples, who's probably going to be a monster at that tailback position if you're paying attention to what people have been laying down. That defense is going to need some time. The new offensive coordinator is going to need some time with the new offense. And there's all sorts of candidates out there, and we can discuss those. Like, Brian Hartline is at the top of the list for many. There's even some reports that he already got the job. I ain't got just that yet, that I can nail it down, but it feels like it's trending that way. Still got to go get the offensive line coach, and maybe the offensive line coach wants to have some play calling privileges. Who could know, right? And if you are Ohio State, you have the privilege of swinging for the fences. The way that I kind of look at this is not unlike what Fox did in the broadcasting booth. For those of y'all that live underneath that particular rocket or on Mars, the Super Bowl is on Fox this year. It means Tom Brady's going to call a Super Bowl. 3 years ago, nobody saw that coming, right? But when Troy Aikman and Joe Buck decided to go to ESPN, the big bosses said, hey, we're going to go get Tom Brady, which, because you can do that. You have time. You can swing for the fences. You can go try to pursue the one you actually want. And to some degree, I think that's what Ryan Day is going to do on that offensive line and defensive line positions. Like, you don't necessarily have to promote from within. I get that you feel it's safe because you feel like that guy has spent time with you. If it's Brian Hartline, if it's Matt Chieri, for instance, or Tim Walton, right, for those others. Or you bring somebody back in that you know you like Kevin Wilson, who I think is great at dialing stuff up, and he's a fun guy to talk to. When he was head coach at Tulsa, we didn't win a lot of games, but I enjoyed talking with him, and he's always had an Ohio State state of mind. Like, he would show up trying to implement some Ohio State principles into what TU was doing, and let's just say that TU is not Ohio State and purports itself a little bit differently because we got our own traditions, and we're a little bit proud of those too. Not trying to take anybody else's. That doesn't mean that Ohio State is lesser or greater. It means that TU is TU and Ohio State is Ohio State. If you're Wilson, maybe you want to bring that back, right? Maybe Ryan Day feels good about having you around and or helping, say, a new offensive coordinator like Brian Hartline do the job. You could also go into the NFL if you wanted to. Try to pursue an offensive line coach there that you like and trust. Or maybe you go Raiden, right? I'll pick on my team. If Bill Beatonbow wanted to leave Oklahoma and go to Ohio State, would it suck? Yeah, it would, because I think Bill's one of the best to do it, like, period. But you have that privilege if you are Ryan Day. You can make a phone call, and you can see what happens. That's what Penn State did with Jim Knowles. Hey, are you interested? Yes, we will find $3.1 million. Are you interested? Do you want to come? And that's the cool thing about the position that he is in. And if you're a Buckeye fan, that's what you signed up for. That's why I think there are more Ohio State fans than there are any other of college football teams. Matter of fact, it's a great study done out of Sanford. I think they do it annually. But they count the number of people that claim to be associated with one team or another. Ohio State tops the list, but by 2 million. Like 6 million people call themselves fans of Ohio State. Behind them, Penn State, 4 million. Behind them, Michigan, 4 million. You got to go down the list a ways before you get to Texas, before you get to Bama, before you get to Oklahoma. And even then, you're talking about 1 million to 2 million, right? You sign up because you want to see the Buckeyes have the best and the brightest everywhere they go. And that is how that university's gotten down. The more people I meet that went to school there or claim to love that place or lived in Columbus, the more I kind of like the place. As a matter of fact, I got to have lunch with a friend in October, and she had gone to Ohio State, and she had moved from Columbus to here, and she's going, who's going to win the national championship? I said, it's going to be your Buckeyes. She's like, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Like, I think I'm going to be right about this. And then after the Oregon game, I got an email. I was given the what for to how now. It's like, yes, I know, RJ, you're working on this book, but we friends now, so what the hell happened? And then, after they won the national championship, she feels pretty good. And I feel like that is kind of the roller coaster that we have been on in this show from the jump. I picked them to win a national championship in August. Nobody wants to give me any sort of credit for that. Fine, that's okay. I make them the number one team at the start of the season. Nobody wanted to give me credit for that. Fine, okay. And then they win the national championship and we hear. Almost like sometimes I be watching ball. And by sometimes, I mean all the time. Come on now. Don't do me like that. You know that I'm doing this show on February 3rd, man. Like you with me here. We are diehards. We be doing this. So I think when some folks talk about what Ohio State is or isn't, they are forgetting just what it is to be at that place. Now, that also means the lunatic fringe is a little bit closer, and you get some yahoos like the folks that were going to come to that Ryan Day's house, or at least they were afraid of because they had security at his house for the national championship game, and you had all sorts of things being said after losing to Michigan again, and then you squeak into the college football playoffs, and then you stomp a mud hole in everybody you play and walk it dry. That's how it goes, man. That's called taking the job. Is that what you're signing up for if you become a on-the-field coach at Ohio State? Yeah, but the buck still stops at Ryan Day, which means that I would do it the way he's doing it. Take my time. Go talk to the people I would like to talk to. make the people that I think I would want tell me no, and then go from there. Position of power and privilege. It's what we're all chasing.